Okay, so there's a very important Bitcoin price level that I am keeping an eye on before August. Now, a few things I'm going to say to introduce this video actually, and a quick introduction is I know a lot of you are saying that the video quality could be better and you need a magnifying glass to see the numbers. I'm working on it. It looks like I need to change some export file and change the setting. So I'm gonna do that later on. It's right now we're just gonna keep it going. I'm gonna call out price levels and the prices within them to just make it easier. But I'm working on that. It'll be resolved soon. And I know a lot of you because I'm gonna go over. I say this is a price level I'm looking at before August, and we still have a decent amount of time. And on top of that, the FOMC meeting is 29 to 30. So 29, we should have the official announcement for this next FOMC meeting, which, as of right now, just in my opinion, is going to be holding rates the same. And then again, reminding everyone that the Fed is in a position where they can be patient. But we all know in the background that, hey, they're somewhat pressured. They really want to lower rates as well because, of course, the U.S. wants to print more money for them just to stay afloat. And of course, the lower the rates, the better for that. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with that, right? Um, so yeah, let's keep that in mind. And I know a lot of you are, I've talked to a few of you before. Canada, North America, so U.S., Canada, Europe, some Middle Eastern countries, and even India. So when it comes to this time horizon for this price level that I'm going to show you guys, and it's going to influence Mara. I'm going to go over that as well. It's not really too much of a big deal because it's Friday night. We're getting started on the weekend, so I mean, by the time this video comes out and a lot of you watch it within the first like 12 hours, we'll still be ahead of the game when it comes to business days because we all know that the majority of the volume we're going to see, of course, in Mara, but with Bitcoin, it's usually during business days because I think that's when large whales and institutions are more active to actually make some transactions. So just keep that in mind. And again, I'm gonna resolve the quality issue soon enough. It's not too much of a big deal for me right now. But here, let's go over the chart. I'm gonna tell you guys what the price level looks like. It has not actually changed, although I could modify it a little bit, but it's not gonna really change anything. I'll do it right here in front of you guys, and then we'll talk about Mara. But basically, I'm gonna, there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm gonna remove this support area. I've talked about it enough. We don't really need to keep an eye on it because it's basically invalidated now. That was an alternative scenario for us to prepare, and I said this in I don't know if it was the last video or the one before that, but I did say that in my opinion, it won't be a bad idea to accumulate small, focused on position sizing, small short-term long positions with either this swing high or the top of this red fib, which is the 0.618. It's a retracement at $120,385. I have not changed this, and I said I would it's not bad to use this as an opportunity to accumulate small short term long positions, SL being the swing low. You guys can see that on your own charts. And then the top would be the take profit. And if you guys took advantage of that, congrats. It was a really nice trade, and it took a few hours, but it worked out. And so if you guys did, awesome. But now we're finally going down lower. This was also an opportunity for us to keep track of a new retracement within this area to then potentially go up here and confirm earlier than expected bullish recovery. We can delete that one as well because, of course, if you were keeping an eye on this retracement as a signal, it got crushed, and that was mostly expected. I kept saying that, the alternative scenario isn't as likely as us eventually moving down lower. And what we're doing right now is that we are in the stages, and this can reverse at any point. So, of course, if I start seeing signs that this correction is gonna end sooner than expected, then I'll update you guys on that. As soon as I can. But basically, until that happens, and I'm not gonna worry about showing you guys alternative scenarios, because the overall view is down. Now this area down here, here's a small modification, and this is the area I'm keeping an eye on when it comes to that price level before August. So I'm going to give you guys some context on this, because then again, it will make it easier to translate it into Mara once we jump over to that chart. But basically, the idea is that we want to continue to see fluctuative moves down, and I could go over the 5 and even 15-minute time frame and show you guys a ton of different smaller picture fib extensions and retracements, but it's not necessary. At that time frame, I don't really like to pay attention to it too much, just because it's super noisy. There's a whole lot of craziness going on, and I'm not really interested in shorting right now, because I think there was some positive news for that crypto bill that came out. I saw one notification for it, so I'm not sure if it's legit or not. But there's a lot of stuff going on. We can see potentially a positive tariff news with potential negotiations or anything. It's absolutely random right now. Things have been happening super random. So I'm not interested in shorting, because I think, in my own opinion, it's riskier to short than it is to just wait for this price level to happen. And if it doesn't happen and we get early signs that the low is in and we're gonna start that next bullish move higher, then I'll update you guys on that as soon as possible, and then we can you guys can make your own decisions. You guys can just use this as one research tool, but not, of course, because this is all just my opinion, and I hope a lot of you are doing your own due diligence, and then just to take my word for everything. But again, this red retracement, overlapping blue extension, bearish, short-term bearish, is factoring in this move right here. This actually got filled. It's not invalidated, but we're no longer paying attention to the purple. I believe sub 100k levels is basically just not going to happen, in my opinion, and instead we're looking for much higher prices. So in the short term, we got to see that weakness, so we can get that bullish reset for them, the bulls to take over once again, and then we can finally hit the next fib extension higher at $128,000, which will open the pathway to eventually go to 136k. But during that time, of course, we'll be looking at a lot of short-term things to keep risk management in mind. But as of right now, we started moving lower. We broke this swing low, so now we're just waiting to see. You guys can keep track of multiple. You guys can even look at a retracement from here to here and keep an eye on short-term resistance, and then a secondary one for just this move down here. You can even besides using those retracements, you can even just use a super simple fib extension, which shows, hey, there's still more momentum to come down. But if you do this, it also shows that there's strong support within this area, the discounted portion of the bigger blue extension area that we've filled in the past very, very well. It shows the support there. I mean, it's basically just above the 0.5 retracement in orange at 115,400. And it's also previous swing low support, where imbalance is also supporting the price to try to stabilize it and see if the bulls can take over. But I'm just not going to be too, I'm going to accumulate at that point. Like, once we hit the bottom, we break this 100% extension in blue at 115,750. I'm going to accumulate, because I would rather be early for the potential of us finally coming down here and finding a bottom somewhere around 110k, because we got a nice range right there. We can even go all the way down to 108k, right? So I would rather be early and accumulate within all of these fib lines as an opportunity to accumulate more, because when the price is ready to recover, it's going to recover super quick, and I'd rather be early than than to wait, because the price can recover super quickly. And if it recovers like overnight, soon in the future, overnight, and it happens, then I'm not going to be able to take advantage of it, because there's not going to be enough volume on extended hours for me to accumulate BitU, right? So I'd rather be early during market hours than to wait. So again, before we jump into tomorrow, the idea right now is that we're moving lower. If we have any signs indicating that we won't, I'll let you guys know, so you can keep an eye on it, and then use that to our advantage for risk management. But I'm looking for prices lower soon. Before I believe it's most likely and most healthy for the price to then eventually go back up and hit 128K, and then start the next structures to go much higher. We're finally exiting a lot of this optimism, and it's nice to see that the price is stabilizing instead of quickly just dipping, because it gives us more time to pay attention to it. It means that a lot of this volume, a lot of these bigger buyers that push the price higher early on, it shows that they are still interested. In my opinion, they're still interested in higher prices, because as we were weakening and we broke this swing low at the time, easily a lot of that large money could have flown out, but instead we're consolidating. We can still see some weakness, but the price is stabilizing so well that I believe a lot of these bigger buyers are interested in higher prices still. So yeah, there's a lot of foundational support, I should say, supporting the foundation for like the price structure that we're looking at. All right, now for Mara, it's something very similar here, although Bitcoin is a few steps ahead, but the setup is the same. Lately in this channel, like last year and earlier this year, we've been keeping an eye on these support areas. I called out these support areas quite well, where we had like some deep value accumulation opportunity. We went up higher. I said during this time we can come down into this retracement support, but I wouldn't be feared out because we still have an opportunity to reach this imbalance up here, which eventually the price hit that area really nicely. So it was a really, really nice opportunity to let Mara show us how strong it was, and support the structures that it gave us. Then after that, I still believe that, and this is going to make sense in a moment of why I'm explaining the past. But basically, due to a lot of the characteristics in the macro, and then how, when it comes to the amount of value behind Mara, not just, them watering down shares basically, but basically the fact that they are heavily investing into more Bitcoin miners. They have a lot of investments within the company to support operations, but they're also very aggressively holding the underlying asset on top of that. So I said during this time too, as Bitcoin was showing this really strong deep discounted value, I kept saying like the moment this recovers, they're gonna represent this in their monthly reports, and it would just create a better support. Basically, what ended up happening was that our support area held very nicely, a very, very nice accumulation area. I'm not very good at color coding. I want to get better, but every time I use red, it means, like, to me, this is like a no-brainer accumulation opportunity. And that's just me. That's just how I'm viewing this. That's what I do. And no means am I telling anyone to go off of this or to copy me. It's not a good idea. Do your own due diligence. But that's basically and it worked out well. And then back then, I had this extension area. I gave you guys a heads up that I personally think we can see volume begin to weaken, potentially creating a top. We started fluctuating. We hit it briefly. We came back down, but I kept saying, support can hold. We're still above the 120 moving average. I'm looking for $20.50. We hit it. So now what I'm saying is that, I'm not going to have this estimate here anymore, because if you guys were watching previous videos, I kept saying I want to find short-term support within the orange, bullish fake out, making everyone think that it's going to recover, but it's just a lower high before we go into a one more lower low, in my opinion, deep value for the structure that we're looking at, and then higher into the next take profit area will be up here. So what I'm going to do, because there's way too much stuff on here, is it's a very similar setup to Bitcoin. I'm going to remove that because that's just an estimate. I'll put it back up once it's relevant. But basically, as we get past this weekend, because Bitcoin has been stabilizing quite well, so we're seeing Mara do the same thing pretty much. But Bitcoin is already within its orange support area, but it can still weaken. Excuse me. So if Bitcoin, and this is just what I believe will happen, of course, if I'm wrong, I'll see signs and I'll update you guys. But if I'm at the moment, I'm looking for Bitcoin just to come down, fill in a little bit more of these imbalances, find a little bit of that deeper value for the factoring in the structure that's in opportunity to accumulate below 115k, ideally around 110k. Then this dip isn't like super massive for Bitcoin, but it can very much influence a lot of fear within Mara. And usually Mara, it's somewhat of a leveraged alternative to Bitcoin. So we can see Mara drop a bit more aggressively than in Bitcoin. In the short term, as Bitcoin, as we come down and we continue to fluctuate and we start to see fluctuations and it's showing signs that it wants to recover as we near this ascending support line and we're in the discounted portion of the orange, we can see Mara do something very similar where it's showing similar characteristics within here. But then, this will be, in my opinion, a good idea. Just my opinion, is a good idea to begin accumulating lightly, right? In case the price does pump, it's a good idea to accumulate very, very lightly. Focus on your own risk management. Focus on your time horizon that you're willing to hold on to this. Because even if Bitcoin consolidates and it's moving sideways, kind of down a little bit for a while, because we still have like a week and a half before the month even ends, and then it's just over a little over a week before we get that FOMC meeting. So we can be in this range for a while. So as we get closer to FOMC and things, the setups start to make sense a little bit more, then I'll give you guys some updates and what I plan to do ahead of the FOMC. But until then, just understand that based on your own time horizon and your own risk management, your own position sizing, how all that factors in, you got to keep in mind that we can be in this range for a little bit. But then eventually, when Bitcoin comes down here, we can potentially also see, and I'll keep you guys updated on this, Mara trading around $15, right? And that's a very important thing to keep an eye on, around that $15 range. 15.50, around there. Let's keep an eye on it. I'm not saying it's going to bottom there, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we reach that price. So, and then after that, if my expectations are realistic, just like they were in the past, these red deep value areas tend to hold quite well. And again, even if we break out of it before breaking the 0.5 at $15.68, and we go up, we still got to retest. We got to retest a support, which previously acted as a resistance. It can happen again, and we can have a second test of the red, and the second test, just like here, it can be deeper. So that's why I'm not focused on the time horizon too much. I'm not focused on what's going on in the bigger picture. I'm more focused on price value represented by fibs more than anything else. So yeah, hopefully this video made sense, guys. I think it's a very important area. Who knows? I could be absolutely wrong, and things can just explode in front of us in a bad way. So let's just keep an eye on things. I'll keep you guys updated. We'll see if anything changes in the near future. But as of right now, I do believe this is the very likely pathway. If anything changes, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and take care.